The third time that guy in combat boots scaled our 6-foot fence and stomped into my backyard, I should have known we were past the point of neighborhood drama. He left chalk marks all over my patio like he was staking a claim, and 3 days later I opened an envelope that demanded $2,000 for bushes too tall and paint fading. That was the moment I realized this wasn't about landscaping, it was about breaking me down until I surrendered my home. I live in a quiet suburb, or at least it used to be quiet. I'm an interior designer. I spend my days making other people's houses beautiful, and my backyard with tomato plants and honeysuckle was my little sanctuary. My grandpa, Frank, lives with me. 75, former military. Sharp eyes, steady. Hands his chair on the porch, basically a watchtower. And across the street sits Paula Clark, president of our homeowners association, a woman who treats her navy blazer and HOA pin like they make her queen of the neighborhood. Beside her lurks Greg Dalton, clipboard in hand, body like a security guard, boots like he's on patrol in a war zone. That afternoon I was watering plants when Paula showed up at my gate. Fake sweet smile, sharp eyes announcing she needed to inspect tree violations. I asked for a warrant or some kind of court order. She didn't answer. She flicked her hand and Greg climbed my iron fence like it was an obstacle course. He dropped into my yard. Boots shaking the ground and started scribbling notes, snapping photos of my flower beds, chalking up my patio stones like he was mapping a crime scene. My grip tightened on the hose until it hissed like a snake. Grandpa called from the porch, calm as ever, son. I don't recall our fence offering mountain climbing services, but Greg ignored us. 3 days later came the envelope. $2,000. Detailed measurements I never saw anyone take. Photographs shot at weird angles to make my grass look dead, my gate look rusted, my bushes look monstrous. I almost laughed, then I felt sick. Frank just looked at the letter and said, "We need cameras." So we installed them. And sure enough, Greg came back different outfit this time, dressed like a utility worker with Patch's tool belt and a badge printed on cheap plastic. He scattered trash by our bins, snapped photos, and mailed us another violation. Improper waste disposal, failure to maintain cleanliness. Another $2,000. $4,000 total. And then the kicker, 24 hours to pay or face a lien on the property. That was the night I broke. I sat at the kitchen table staring at those envelopes, wondering if I should just give up. Sell the house? Cut my losses? Escape the nightmare? Was I overreacting? Maybe Paula was right. Maybe resisting the HOA only made me the problem. Frank was calm, reading the paper like always. He said, "She wants you to doubt yourself. That's part of the strategy." I wanted to believe him, but honestly I felt like prey cornered in my own home. And then came Mrs. Henderson. She knocked one afternoon with a folder stuffed with papers. Her family, she said, had lived through the same pattern: surprise inspections, fabricated fines, foreclosure. She lost her house for half its value. She showed me records of 5 more families stripped the same way, all with Paula pulling the strings, all bought cheap through association processes. My stomach turned cold. This wasn't petty harassment. This was organized theft. Meanwhile, Paula went public. She live-streamed herself in front of our gate, pink microphone in hand. Crocodile tears dripping as she called us dangerous vigilantes. She said my grandpa wired the fence to kill. Neighbors started crossing the street instead of waving. One woman left a voicemail saying she was scared to walk her dog past our house. And while Paula cried online, someone ripped down our doorbell camera. It felt like war, and I was losing. But Frank was steady. He disappeared into the garage for hours, tinkering with wires and circuits. When I asked, he just smiled. "Backup systems," he said. I buried myself in municipal codes and property laws, printing out every clause about trespass, privacy, vandalism. I wasn't sure it would save us, but at least I had something solid to hold on to. The breaking point came at 3 in the morning. My phone buzzed with motion alerts, and on the infrared feed I saw them, Paula and Greg dressed in police uniforms, radios, crackling fake dispatch chatter flashlights sweeping our gate. Greg carried heavy wire cutters. Paula gave hand signals like they were trained. He reached for the gate to cut the line, exactly what Frank had been waiting for. The instant metal touched metal, a flash exploded across the yard. Greg screamed, dropped. The cutters stumbled back, clutching his hands. Porch lights flicked on all over the block. Paula shouted something about assault with deadly weapons, but her voice cracked. Frank stepped outside, calm as dawn, camera rolling. This recording shows everything he said: trespassing, impersonating police, vandalism, attempted break-in. The real cops arrived minutes later. Sirens blew and red lights painting the street. They saw the fake uniforms, the forged paperwork, the stolen equipment. Greg was cuffed and shoved in a cruiser while Paula tried to spin it as community safety enforcement. Nobody bought it. For the first time, I felt like maybe justice was possible. But Paula wasn't done. By the next week, her lawyer had filed a lawsuit demanding $50,000 for Greg's injuries and emotional trauma. She held another performance at the community center, waving medical records showing blown-up photos of Greg's hands, telling everyone we were dangerous lunatics with a weaponized gate. The crowd turned on me fast. Parents shouted that we should be expelled before we killed someone. I stood there, tongue-thick, voice shaking, and thought maybe they're right. Maybe I'm the villain now. That's when Frank stood. He wheeled out a projector, hooked it up, and lit the wall with spreadsheets. HOA financials. Expenses for luxury renovations and vacations hidden under emergency maintenance. $60,000 diverted. Then came the audio, Paula's own voice bragging about forcing families into foreclosure, laughing that suckers paid fake fines without fighting back. The room went silent. Paula lunged to stop him, but the damage was done. And then Frank showed the final slide, a letter from the FBI confirming an open investigation. Agents were literally outside the building. Paula tried to bolt, but neighbors blocked the exits. The meeting ended with unanimous votes. Paula, stripped of power accounts, frozen, law enforcement called. That night, the FBI arrested her for racketeering, conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, the works. Greg flipped fast, cutting a deal, spilling everything about Paula's network of HOA presidents running identical scams across multiple states. I watched Paula in court months later, her blazer traded for a prison jumpsuit, face pale under fluorescent lights. 7 years in federal prison. Restitution of $2.4 million to the families she destroyed. Greg got 18 months and a lifetime ban from anything HOA. As marshals led her away in cuffs, she didn't look at me. She stared straight ahead, like maybe she still believed she'd find a way out, but not this time. I walked out of that courthouse shaking, exhausted, and weirdly hollow. We'd won, or at least we'd survived. The house still stood, the gate still hummed at night, and I finally knew the truth. When they turn rules into weapons, the only defense left is to fight with the truth.